I'm 65 years old, and yesterday I found proof that I wasted my life. I was cleaning out my closet. You know the kind of cleaning I mean. The kind where you finally face the back corner, the one you've been avoiding for years. The afternoon light was coming through the window and I could see dust floating in the air like tiny witnesses. My knees cracked when I knelt down. Loud. The kind of sound that reminds you that your body is keeping score even when your mind refuses to. And there it was, a shoebox, Nike. The cardboard was still firm, corners still sharp. 23 years sitting in that closet, and the box looked like I'd bought it last week. I pulled off the lid and this smell hit me. New rubber, fresh leather, that factory smell that's supposed to represent possibility. And inside were the most expensive running shoes I'd ever bought. White, pristine. The laces still tied exactly the way they were in the store. The soles completely clean, not a single scuff, not one grain of dirt, not one blade of grass had ever touched them. I bought these shoes when I was 42 years old. I sat there on my closet floor, holding shoes that had never touched the ground, and I felt something rise up in my chest. It wasn't sadness, it was nausea, pure physical sickness, because I was holding evidence, proof, a receipt for a life I kept saying I would start living. If you are over 40 and you are doing what I did, you need to stop, right now, today, before you end up like me, an old man sitting on a dusty floor, holding a pair of shoes that outlasted every promise he ever made to himself. Let me tell you how I got here. When I bought those shoes, I was 42, freshly divorced, scared, desperate to prove something. I walked into that store with a credit card and a fantasy. I was going to become a runner. I was going to get in shape. I was going to show everyone, my ex-wife, my co-workers, myself, that I was still vital, still young, still somebody worth looking at. I believed something back then that poisoned the next 2 decades of my life. I believed that youth was a performance, something you could fake if you were loud enough, visible enough, relevant enough. I thought staying young meant being seen, being right, winning arguments, collecting proof that I still mattered. So instead of running, you know what I did? I argued with strangers on the internet. I spent hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours in comment sections, debating politics with people I'd never meet, correcting opinions that had nothing to do with my life. I'd stay up until 2 in the morning crafting the perfect response to someone who lived 3,000 miles away and didn't know my name. And when I finally destroyed them with my logic, when I finally proved I was right, I'd lean back from my computer and feel like I'd accomplished something. I bought a gym membership too, took a photo of myself at the gym, posted it, got likes, felt young. Then I stopped going. But I kept the membership for 4 years, just in case tomorrow was the day I'd finally start. The lie I told myself was simple. It was seductive. It was poison. I have time. I'm still young enough. Meanwhile, my daughter was calling. I'd see her name on my phone screen and I'd think, I'll call her back after I finish this thread. After I respond to this idiot who doesn't understand economics. After I prove this point that will evaporate from everyone's memory in 6 hours. My father was calling too. Every few weeks, sometimes more, he'd invite me to go fishing, just like we did when I was a kid. The lake was only 2 hours away, a Saturday trip, simple, easy. Busy, Dad, work's crazy, maybe next month, soon. I was too busy performing youth to actually live it. Too busy proving I was still in the game to notice that the only game that mattered was happening without me. And then, 3 months ago, I learned what silence really sounds like. My father died on a Tuesday, quietly, in his sleep, 89 years old. The doctors said it was peaceful. They always say that. I don't know if it's true. The funeral was on a Saturday, isn't that something? He spent years asking me to spend Saturdays with him, and I finally showed up for this one. The reception was in the back room of a church, one of those multi-purpose rooms with fluorescent lights that buzz if you listen close enough. The whole place smelled like industrial coffee and lilies, that funeral smell, sweet and bitter and wrong. I was standing by the window watching people I half recognized eat little sandwiches when my sister walked up to me. She was holding a cardboard box, small, ordinary. "These are some of his things," she said. "I thought you might want them." I took the box back to my apartment that night. I didn't open it for a week. It sat on my kitchen table like an accusation. Finally, on a Sunday morning, I pulled off the lid. Inside were the small things: a pocket knife, some photographs, a fishing lure I'd given him when I was 12, and a notebook. The notebook was old. The cover was soft from years of handling. I opened it and I realized it was a fishing journal. My father had kept records of every fishing trip he'd ever taken, the date, the weather, what he caught. But then I turned to the back pages and my blood went cold. There were entries there that weren't about fishing. They were about me. Every Saturday for 12 years, my father had written the same thing in different ways. "Called Daniel today. Busy again. Called Danny. Work," he said. "Maybe next time. Tried Danny this morning. No answer. Left a message." 47 entries. 47 Saturdays. 47 times my father had reached for the phone, hoping this would be the week his son remembered he existed. I started reading the dates. I followed the years, and I watched his handwriting change. In the early entries, his letters were strong, clear. By the end, they were shaking, thin, the pen pressing lighter because his hands didn't work the way they used to. The second to last entry read, "Called again. He's very busy. I understand." But he didn't understand. How could he? I didn't understand myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was choosing comment sections over my own father. I didn't know those arguments I was winning were costing me everything I could never win back. The last entry was dated 8 months before he died. It said, "Stopped calling. He'll come when he's ready." I closed the notebook. The fluorescent light in my kitchen was buzzing. The refrigerator was humming. And I sat there in the loudest silence I've ever heard. It wasn't grief. Not yet. Grief came later. This was something worse. This was the sound of invitations that had expired. This was the sound of a man who got tired of waiting for his son. And the worst part? The part that wakes me up at 3 a.m. He didn't stop calling out of anger. He stopped out of love. He stopped because he didn't want to bother me. He didn't want to be a burden. He told himself I'd come when I was ready. But I was never going to be ready. I was too busy being right. Now I live in a quiet apartment. It's clean, organized, empty. The kind of empty that presses against your chest when you wake up at dawn and realize no one needs you today. Those running shoes are sitting on my kitchen table now. I took them out of the closet and put them where I'd have to look at them every day. Punishment, maybe. Or a reminder. I haven't figured out which. My phone doesn't ring much anymore. My daughter texts sometimes, once a week, maybe twice. Polite, brief. "Hi, Dad. Hope you're well." The exclamation points feel like charity. And those people I argued with online? Those strangers I spent years debating? They never knew my address. They never knew my face. They don't know I exist. I gave them my time, my energy, my attention, and they gave me absolutely nothing that matters. I look at those shoes every morning. The soles are still white, still perfect. They never touched morning dew on a park trail. They never pounded pavement at sunrise. They never walked me to a neighbor's house or carried me to my father's porch. I was so busy curating the image of being alive, the right opinions, the perfect comebacks, the performance of vitality. I was so busy proving I still had it that I never actually went anywhere. And now? Now my knees ache when it rains. My back stiffens if I sit too long. My doctor says running is probably not a good idea anymore. 23 years I had those shoes. 23 years I said someday. And someday came, and it looked nothing like I imagined. It looked like an old man alone in a kitchen, staring at shoes he'll never wear, holding a notebook full of invitations he'll never answer. So let me talk to you now. You. Yes, you. If you are over 40, you need to hear this, and you need to hear it without any kindness to soften it, because kindness won't save you. Only the truth might. Stop arguing with strangers on the internet. You will not remember those arguments in 5 years. You won't remember them in 5 months, but your family will remember that you chose a screen over them. Stop performing youth. You don't prove you're young by fighting, by being loud, by being seen. You prove you're alive by living. Quietly if necessary, gently, present. Stop saying soon. Those running shoes in your closet, go put them on, today. Not when you lose 10 pounds, not when work slows down, not when you feel ready. Ready is a lie you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of starting. That trip you've been planning for 15 years, book it, this week. Money will come and go, time only goes. That phone call you've been avoiding, the parent, the sibling, the old friend, make it, now, today, because I promise you, the day will come when you pick up the phone to call, and there will be no one on the other end. And that silence will be louder than anything you've ever heard. The people who love you are getting older too. Right now, while you watch this, someone who loves you is wondering if you'll call. They won't wonder forever. One day they'll stop asking. One day they'll write in their own journal, "Stopped calling." They'll come when they're ready. Don't make them wait until they give up. The tragedy of getting old is not the wrinkles. It's not the aching joints. It's not the slow walk or the early bedtimes. The tragedy is getting old and realizing you were never young. You were too busy proving you were young to actually feel it. Too busy being seen to be present. Too busy winning to notice what you were losing. I'm 65 years old. I have clean running shoes and a dead father's journal and an apartment full of silence. Don't end up like me. Close this video, pick up the phone, go outside, wear the damn shoes. Whatever you've been postponing, go do it. You're running out of some days.